we left off where you told the story of how you were stacking millions of dollars in the stock market, and you had an ecstasy empire in Arizona, Tempe, Arizona. All kinds of crazy shit was going on. You finally got busted, went to jail or prison, and I think we left off with the story of the roaches, and you met a guy named Two Tonys. So we left off when you were in prison. I know we missed a lot of really interesting stories, and from inside prison, the people you met, and then from when you actually got out and what happened after you got out. So where can we start?
Well, if we didn't do the Xena transgender story, that would be the best one to start with.
Okay.
So
Who's that?
Xena was a 6.5-foot charismatic transgender prisoner. Looked long hair, kind of like skinny, but like bum coming out, going around like a woman on the yard. And I made friends with Xena. And what I didn't know when I made friends with Xena was that Xena had suffered something completely horrific when she first came in. I'll say she because that's what the trans, they find it disrespectful to say he. Yep. So Xena came in decades before me, and she clicked up with the AB, the Aryan Brotherhood. She was working out, she was big, and they had her collecting debts. Now, with these gangs, it's blood in, blood out. They use people up and they brutalize them. And in Xena's case, I asked her what happened. She said, the first time was a gang rape. They came, they beat me until I was unconscious, raped me while I was unconscious, and shoved things inside my body. I said, how do you know that they were raping you if you were unconscious? She said, when I went to the toilet after, I could tell by what came out.
Oh.
I said, what did they stick inside your body? A broomstick. I said, well, what did you do after being raped? She said, she got moved to another yard, but the same thing happened. They beat her up, used her as a prostitute, a punk, more gang rapings. And
she sounds like a big person, right?
Yeah, she was 6.5 foot. I've seen them. Big guys come in prison full of bravado, and the gangs get on them like a pack of wolves. There's nothing they could do. When someone's outnumbered, it's not like in the movies where Rambo just kicks ass and everyone goes down.
Yeah.
The gangs, they run the place. They decide who lives and dies. So Xena said she sat in the cell waiting for the scars to go away. She got moved, but the same thing happened. And we were writing a blog to raise awareness of prison rape. So I said, does this happen to young people who come in? And she said, yeah, mostly young people, but it can happen to anyone. Big, bad dudes, skinny, even the ugliest people in the world. People who come to prison who aren't street smart and don't understand the mentality of ghetto life, they get preyed on the most. I said, well, how did you stop it? She said that she started fighting back. She won the fight. And she told him she didn't care if she lived or died. And that's how she stopped it. But that's understatement. Xena was studying anatomy at the time and she came with an idea. And the next 2 times the gang came to rape Xena, the first member of the gang to put his hand on Xena plucked his eyeball out so it was dangling from the optic nerve. So Xena did that on 2 separate occasions and was classified as extremely dangerous because when I heard this, I thought that's not even possible. But when I got out, I joined a dojo and they teach us in karate. It's called bird beak strike, where you just pull someone's eyeball out like that. So when the eyeball comes out, it's dangling from the optic nerve. It doesn't just go back in the eye and behave normally. the fluid cushioning the brain can leak through it and you can die. Your eye might end up looking the wrong way. You could be blinded. So after doing that twice, the gang left Xena alone, but they moved on to some of the other more vulnerable prisoners. Some of Xena's friends, actually. One was gang raped and they held him down. And they took a light bulb and shoved it in his backside and made bets on who could smash it first. And that prisoner committed suicide afterwards. Another one was gang raped. They held him down, cut his head off with a shovel. And when the shovel was finally off, they picked the head up and they positioned it in an area of the prison where the rival gangs would see it to make the point that they were the most violent and ruthless out of all of the gangs. And that was the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. Now, another thing Xena told me was, people think, how can this happen? All this man-on-man rape. The guards would protect the prisoners. The culprits would be brought to justice. Well, people who think that are in a dream world. This is an extremely violent, predatory society, like a warrior society, where you got two guards watching hundreds of prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
So Xena said, you can't get anyone prosecuted. The victim is labeled a rat, a punk, and considered less than human. You can't go to the guards because then you're a snitch. For snitches, it's KOS, kill on sight by everybody. Or the guards will put you in a dungeon for months or years and say it's for your own protection. You can do absolutely nothing other than kill the perpetrators. And I asked, well, did you think about killing them? And she said, yeah, I thought about killing them. I thought about killing myself, and I still do. And then she started crying, and she couldn't answer any more questions. Now, Xena also did something to herself. And I met a trans prisoner who'd fully done this thing to herself. And Xena copied this. She had a Mosby's medical dictionary. She had no painkillers whatsoever. Yeah. She wakes up one morning, just drinks a cup of coffee, gets a felt tip pen, a marker, and draws some lines on her scrotum. Picks up a razor blade, slashes her scrotum open. The testicles are on branches called the vas deferens. So she folds the scrotum open. She's got the blade on the spermatic cord and gristle that's holding this testicle to the vas deferens, and she chops through it and manages to get one testicle off. Now, the other testicle must have known what was coming because it retracted inside her. So she's now got her hands in her guts looking for this other testicle. She says she could feel squishy things like organs and stuff. She's rummaging around in there. And as she's rummaging around, she's starting now to feel the red hot pain of cutting one ball off. But she's thinking, this is a one-shot deal. I got to do it. So she's scrambling around in her guts looking for it. And where she's got it tied off to stop the blood squirting out comes undone. So now the blood starts squirting across the cell. And she's got the red hot pain kicking in, and she's going faint, and she's scrambling around in her guts looking for the other nut, and it's hiding further and further in there. And in the end, she's bleeding to death. She's losing consciousness, and somebody sees her, and they manage to get a helicopter to the prison just in time to get her to hospital to save her life. Now, she was put on suicide watch for over a year. And when she got off suicide watch, she cut the other one off. So what the trans prisoners do is they cut the testicles off to stop the testosterone, and they get estrogen smuggled in. They believe they are women trapped in men's bodies, and they feel more at peace by doing that, by reversing the flow of the chemicals.